So in part one, we discussed how EDGARS had come about and the change in management. In this part, we're discussing the exact details as to how they really did survive. So there's a number of factors and things which we should consider and see how exactly they went about it. So one of the key factors that we've seen come up is the capital injection that has come up with the new investors. They've put in $1 million at their Bulawayo Carousel manufacturing division. This allows them to be manufacturing trendier clothes, modern quality, export quality for markets fit for Europe, fit for South Africa. As we heard the chief executive say, it's a new market they're involved in. We also saw the chief executive mention that they put aside $1.5 million for the refurbishment of their retail outlets, their branches where they are making their sales. We also saw the recent flagship opening of the Ascot Bulawayo shop. There you clearly see an intent of servicing the higher market, trendier sales spaces. Clearly, in terms of capital, the group is in better straits. Actually, we talked about the capital injection that's been possible with the EDGARS group under their new investors. We also saw a key shift which we'd say mostly enabled this to happen. Their migration to the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. They moved from the ZSE. Traditionally, the ZSE, Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, had limitations around capital raising, around the forex investment. The legalities around it and the red tape seems to be more lax on the VFX, and we're seeing a lot of local companies shift towards putting their stocks or their counters on there. So the other important thing that I've done, and which I think is most critical, as we mentioned before, that they have the segmentation of their jet brands and their express brands. So in express, like if you read their own publications and if you also read in the market, the EDGARS Stores Limited is moving towards cash deals. They're moving towards better priced products that people can pick up. This is essentially challenging the informal market or even some items in the second-hand market where consumers can pick up things at a lower budget but not sacrificing for quality. So this means that essentially they've expanded their pool towards those people who are not in the formal market, let's say with a heavier wallet, so to speak, but the little things that people can pick up after work, casual shopping for $10, $5. So essentially that strategy has been something that's actually actively pushing towards them being in a better position, so to speak, to compete in the Zimbabwean market. So traditionally, the EDGARS group, as we mentioned, has always been selling to what we could say to the middle class, lower middle class, and everyone in the market where they've been extending credit. They've traditionally served people with credit products. They've had account holders, and they've come back to that point where we saw the chief executive mention that they had at some point 80,000 customers and they'd like to reach again the 120s, the 130,000 spaces. You see that with their credit sales promotions that they have currently, where they're encouraging people to open accounts, to have longer interest rate free spaces, unlike back then when they were, so to speak, more in a market where they had a monopoly. With these informal competitions that are there, people selling with the Shane orders that are there, with the Temu orders that are there, they've had to be more innovative. And with a stronger capital base, they're seeing that they're taking advantage of the situation where they can sell consumers and not really ask them to pay interest in some cases, or high or any interest at all in some points as they try and attract customers again. That again, in this market where customers are really looking to save in their pockets, proving to be something that's really carrying the group forward. So another key factor which is coming up again and which seems to be to the benefit of EDGARS is government policy in general. If you take a look and if you've been reading the Zimbabwean economic strategy, so to speak, you have the policy where they are trying to revive generally local industry. We've seen David Whitehead, the textile manufacturers, come back on, and government has been trying to encourage the integration and collaboration of industries. EDGARS Stores Limited has taken this up, and you see that they have a close working relationship with the textile manufacturer. So also in line with funding, you see that the government has come in to cushion, they've come in to make facilitations, to make it easier for these industries to be able to access funds. The recent policy by the RBZ, we saw the EDGARS CEO give credit for them actually having access to more funds, having access to more export benefits, which has seen them actually be in a position to say, we're going to be increasing our output, we're going to be increasing employment, which we can say is a general benefit to the country as a whole. And we have to give credit to the state, we have to give credit to the ministries, empowering them to be in this position. And also government policy which has come about to say there are efforts to try and stem smuggling. There are efforts in place to stem imports of stuff like second-hand products, like clothing items, like even linen, so to speak. So that has been another factor which has been contributing to the progress of EDGARS. If you want to talk about it in terms of having an active executive, I would like to give credit to the Sahara Group's members who are on board now. They are really seen to be in the limelight, and you really see them engaging, where you see the head of state even visiting their Carousel plant. In terms of engaging government and lobbying for better policies, I believe the current leadership is at the forefront and they are really playing their role. So in terms of innovation, we're living in a very globalized society. We're living in a very global world where if there are no policies to protect your own local industry, you are going to be very much in the shark tank. EDGARS is in a position where, like we say, they're really lobbying government legislatively to keep smuggling, to make sure that their competition that comes in place is also paying taxes and that sort of thing. What we have to now look at and say this is very much in the positive step is them, if you see their policy where they are looking at the competition and taking a note out of the book. We mentioned that EDGARS is competing against notably the Chinese with brands like Shein and Temu. Those guys are seen to be in the market where they have very innovative designs, limited pieces so to speak. They are empowering designers. They are coming up and saying, let's move away from the progress, from this model where we have mass designed designs so to speak, to more innovative and playful and catchy things, which very much are in line with fashion, which changes in very short periods of time.
What we've done also is EDGARS stores is to incorporate some of the small players, to formalize them through incorporating local designers, small designers. We've allowed them to produce for us and ask them to get papers. So we are formalizing informal business through that.
We heard Mr. Mshosho mention that they are now engaging the smaller player, smaller design, and coming up and say, you have a small fashion shop, you have a small fashion outlet, you are making something, come through and be in our system and be a satellite producer. In that case, they are really taking the game to the more innovative international brands like Shein, where you see that with this approach they're having the designs that are appealing to the market, whether to the young fashionista, to the professional who wants to change their wardrobe. They really are in an active space where they can compete, and as the executive mentioned again, they're already exporting to markets like South Africa, very competitive market, to the innovation that's going on at EDGARS today. Now, I spoke about the need for people to be visible. I spoke about the requirement for proper digital marketing and engaging. In terms of where Zimbabwean industry is now and where I see companies being active in the market, I have to give credit to the group in terms of the publicity that's come up, or whoever is running the strategy there. The current CEO is very active. You're seeing him very much at their activities. Saw him at the EDGARS 80th year anniversary celebrations, engaging the market, speaking to the corporate space as well as the social space as to what's happening with the group, what specials they have. In terms of a media presence, I think EDGARS Stores Limited is one of the most active fashion houses that are in the market today, and it's proving to be paying dividends. It's one of the things that's helping them survive, one of the things that's helping them really stay afloat. You know, in the recent news that you've core groups who are really in a difficult space in terms of the clothing manufacturing industry. We've heard about the difficulties that Truworths Group has been undergoing, for instance. I think for the benefit of the whole economy, for employment, for taxes for government, for the general development of the national strategy, such groups should be able to take into account and read from the EDGARS Group and what they've managed to achieve, even in these difficult circumstances. When you're talking about the importance of the capital injection that we've seen EDGARS Stores Limited new investors coming up with in their plant, the Carousel plant in Bulawayo, and you see the refurbishment that they're putting back into the branches or in expanding their branch network, you see the importance of it in that you think about the employment that it's creating. You think about the corporate culture that EDGARS is actively instilling in the economy. We hear about so much movement in the economy, but if we take a look at the impact that $1 million can do, I think it shows you even the confidence that has come up even in the state institution, the RBZ coming up and being active in putting forward facilities for them to grow. It's trying to bring back that culture. I think it's a culture renaissance in terms of the corporate structure of the country. We're looking at essentially, it hasn't been put in so many words, but an older person who was of age and has some economic understanding knows that the movement we're going in is actually trying to undo the effect of the economic structural adjustment program which happened back then in the early 90s. It's essentially putting down money not just in supporting services, but in putting down money to having people work with their hands. I believe EDGARS Stores Limited stands in maintaining production, in maintaining the Carousel plant in Bulawayo is the right step in employing your tailors. The young woman who could have been struggling there, mending patches, has surety. She has a payslip. She has someone to work towards. She has a reference. And if we see the industry in the world, if we as a population industry in Zimbabwe, and if we as a population in Zimbabwe acknowledge this and move in that step, we can bring back the dignity that was once in our country via putting people back to work. Also, as we already saw the movement which was made by EDGARS in terms of saying there are express stores which are dealing with cash consumers, I believe the executive words when he mentioned that they serve that market, they are more for trying to be in a space where they provide customers with decent places for them to shop, decent clothes and at decent prices. I believe it's trying to speak to the culture of Zimbabweans, to bring back the dignity of the average Zimbabwean, to find value in saying you can afford basic clothing. You have a right to be wearing clothes that are new, that have your own title. And you have to have a standard of saying, I want to shop in a decent environment. If we look back then, during the 90s or yesterday's 80s, the glory days of EDGARS, EDGARS wasn't just dressing people without any conviction or objective. It was a status symbol. If we were able to have an account there, the middle class, anyone who was teaching, was in nursing, or even anyone who was working in formal industry before the economic collapse, they had the dignity and the choice of wearing something new, of shopping in a predictable space, of shopping in a dignified and clean environment. I believe the SSCGs and the EDGARS Stores Limited as is now, they are trying to bring us back to that state, but with still a consideration of the economy as is. They kind of symbolize what I believe should be the mindset of the state today, the mindset of the average population, and with the way that we've talked about them going into the space, engaging young designers, so to speak, they are responsive to the market as is. And they're acknowledging the changes that are there, but still the baseline principles that they were at founding, that they were throughout the 80s and 90s, are still being maintained. So we've been talking about how EDGARS has been innovating to stay in the market. I believe from nostalgic times back in the day, even in the mid-2000s, I remember that I would always see magazines that which my mother, who was a nurse, used to be a member of. You'd get these magazines which would show you the latest fashion insights, lifestyle insights. Those were members, those were benefits of being an EDGARS club member. Essentially, it was for account holders, and you'd have a minimum subscription, let's say you'd have for some of these benefits. You'd be able to shop there, and when there were specials or month-end discounts, you'd have perks from that minimum subscription fee you'd pay. These days, I believe, even when it is a tier system, the most expensive doesn't go beyond $10. So you have the benefit of discounts, you have the benefit of fashion advice in those monthly subscription magazines that you'd have. In addition though, since 2014, you see that EDGARS made a key intervention in the market. they started introducing a microfinance division to themselves. Some of the products they were offering were the hospital cashback plan. Essentially, it showed a gap in the health insurance market where medical aid wasn't going as far as being able to help even the daily necessity of club members. We'd have a cashback plan where you'd be able to get a certain amount of cash for every day you spent in the hospital. The subscription fees for these varied, but it was a key consideration which the group saw in the space. That's still active today and it's going a long way. Considering also the gap in the insurance market, EDGARS also offers small microfinance loans which cover basic personal needs, sometimes going as far as covering school fees and that sort of thing. I believe that part of the business has been innovation which has grown from reading the data where they have members, active members, who are not only participating in fashion but also who have the small day-to-day need outside. There was also a time EDGARS was active in partnering with remittance companies using their stores at set outlets for people to access these services. In the 21st century, in these demanding times, when you have a customer and you are responsive, like the EDGARS Stores Limited is in this case, it goes a long way. And I believe it's one of the reasons that they've stayed afloat, and some traditional fashion houses who've just been sticking to their core business of garment and stitch have found themselves in the doldrums they are or are not there at all in the market anymore. So speaking around the talking point of the movement from Bulawayo to Harare in terms of headquarters operation, the CEO made a response. 65% of sales apparently come from Harare, more than 75% Harare and satellite town. Though Bulawayo is a key sector in terms of its manufacturing, sales are just about 25%. So it made more sense to move the headquarters closer to the action. Cited that competition is intense in the capital. Most stakeholders, ZIMRA, the tax authority too, are in Harare. There's a need for constant engagement of stakeholders in terms of real-time response, and it made more sense for the group. So, in summary, we can say that the EDGARS Stores Limited is making strides. There are still challenges in the Zimbabwean economy. There are still things we need to address in policy, and there's still a culture we have to adopt again as a nation as we try and find our feet. The hope is that other people in the Zimbabwean community, other business people, who see value in investing on an industrial scale, who see value in a proper, sustainable corporate system that employs people, that creates jobs, that grows the economy, and that helps us stave off unemployment and poverty. On that note, if you liked this channel, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and do tune in on the next one for the next insightful video.